This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability and a generous investment by Julianne Wrigley.
I was born in rural West Tennessee. My dad was a cop in the military. He grew up in abject poverty in Memphis, Shelby County, a place called Orange Mound, which at the time when he grew up was the biggest black ghetto in America. Harlem, I think, overtook it at one point, but he grew up in abject poverty. He joined the military, my dad, so he could put himself through college. He put himself through college, he put his little brother through college, then he put his cousin through college, then he put me and my sister through college. And I grew up with his values, as red, white, and blue as he could possibly be. And when I finally got done with college, I was accepted to Yale for law school. And we had a big celebration at the house. My dad took me off to the side, and he put his hands on my shoulders, and he told me something that changed my life. And he said, "Son, you've passed me up. You passed me up. You're going to go someplace I would have never been able to go. You're going to learn stuff I wouldn't have been able to learn. And you're going to be smarter than me the next time I see you. You're going to be one of those smart guys." He says, "I just ask you one thing." He says, "There are two kinds of smart people in this world. There's smart people who take real simple things and make them sound real complicated so they can enrich themselves. And there's smart people who take real complicated stuff and make it sound real simple so they can empower other people. Next time I see you, you're going to be smarter than me, but I hope you'll be that kind of smart guy. I hope you'll be that kind of smart guy." So that's been my charge and my challenge. My dad died 2 years ago. He never got a chance to see me in the White House. Luckily, he never got a chance to see me on Fox News either. So these things work out. But I believed in my dad, and I believed all the stuff that he told me about what a great country we are. And when I got to New Haven, Connecticut, I quickly discovered that he hadn't told me the whole story, and my heart was broken. And anybody here ever had your heart broken? Ever in life? Ever? Anybody? I'm the only one? Well, your heart can't get broken if you aren't in love. And I was in love with all these high ideals that my dad had, and I got to New Haven, Connecticut, and I found out very quickly that the kids on the campus where I went to school at Yale were nonviolent drug offenders. I'm not joking. I mean, they would smoke anything, shoot up. I had never seen anything like it. And of course, I grew up in the rural South, in the church. Dad's a cop in the military. So I was shocked. And I never forget calling my grandmother and telling her, we used to call her Big Mama. Don't laugh. We used to call her Big Mama. And I remember calling her, I said, Big Mama, I'm up here at law school, and Big Mama is smoking marijuana cigarettes, Big Mama is smoking marijuana cigarettes. Jesus sees them, I know he does, God please, why are they sinning? And my grandma says, "It's gonna be okay, it's okay, baby, just pray, just pray." I said, I'm praying, but they're smoking the marijuana cigarettes, I don't know what to do. She goes, "Well, baby, tell your professors about it." I said, "They smoking them too, It's wrong, And I was shocked to see this kind of stuff, And so I said, I want to go work in the community. I'm going to get away from these crazy people. And I worked in the community, and sure enough, I got, 3 blocks away from Yale. Anybody been to New Haven? Right? How far away is the ghetto from Yale? Right, about 2 blocks, right? It's closer now? Is this right past the Barnes and Nobles? Okay. It's gotten worse in the 20 years since I was there. But I got to tell his background so you can understand, why I'm so passionate about these solutions that I'm talking about. I learned a ton trying to be doing volunteer work in the ghetto, really, like 2-3 blocks off the campus. And guess what? Turns out the kids over there were smoking the marijuana cigarettes too. 18-year-old kids over here, 18-year-old kids over here, smoking the marijuana cigarettes over here, smoking the marijuana cigarettes over there. But what I noticed was when the kids at Yale got caught or went overboard and got in trouble, the system responded very aggressively, put them in rehab, got them help. And so these kids would be falling out and doing all these crazy drugs and stuff, and the system would jump in, they would pause their finals, middle of finals, pause their finals, let them withdraw quietly. These kids would go into rehab. They'd go to Europe. I'm not joking, man. And they get straightened out and they come back and they hit pause again and they would finish up their studies. And those kids went on to become doctors and lawyers, President of the United States. These people, they... But the kids in the housing projects, when they got caught, they'd go to prison. And I saw kids that I worked with getting taken out of housing projects in their underwear and handcuffs. They would get 7 years, 12 years, 23 years in prison. Yeah, and now for-profit prisons. And I was so angry with my father that I went to the left side of Pluto politically, man. And for years, I was probably the angriest person you'd ever see. And eventually just burned out, trying to fight for social justice and this kind of thing, banging my head against the wall, putting my face up against the furnace, trying to make change. Eventually I burned out, and I had to take a big step back. And in becoming a father and all those things as you get a little bit older, I began to realize something that my father had told me, which I had kind of forgotten, about poverty. My dad used to say, nothing stops a bullet like a job. I remember he say that. He'd say, nothing stops a bullet like a job. And he used to say, because he grew up poor, he said, nobody can give you anything that will make you stop being poor. If somebody's poor, if they're poor in their mind, you can give them the lottery and they'll be poor in a year because they didn't earn it and they don't know how to keep it. He said, what you got to do, everybody's got to climb their own ladder out of poverty. That's up to the individual. He says, but society has to make sure that there's a ladder for them to climb. That's what society can do for you. And as I thought about that and reflecting upon that, I realized that we could put some rungs back on the ladder of opportunity in some of these neighborhoods where I've been working. And that there was hope in a new part of the economy that was beginning to grow. And that was, in California, the green part of the economy. So I didn't just look at these new companies that were getting started with the organic food and with the solar panels and all this sort of stuff. I didn't just look at that as a good thing for the environment or for the entrepreneurs. I saw it as a good thing for people who needed jobs. And I started talking about green jobs, not jails, for poor folks. And I said, if Dr. King were here today, he'd be standing in the floodwaters of Katrina saying, we don't want any more of these superstorms coming. We don't want these communities to suffer first and worst when the ecological crisis happens, but we also don't want these communities to benefit last and least when the positive stuff comes. And that there's a way for us to build a green economy with these new technologies, these new companies that Dr. King would be proud of by taking the people who most need work and letting them do the work that most needs to be done. If you listen to what these young people are saying, the work that most needs to be done in our country is the work of repowering America with clean energy so we can use the abundance of renewable energy resources that we've got. That's going to keep us from baking the planet. That's going to keep us from fighting wars overseas for oil. That's going to keep us from shipping all the jobs overseas to Asia. If we can actually repower America and retrofit America right here, that's the most important work that needs to be done. And we have people who desperately need work. If we connect the people who most need work to the work that most needs to be done, we can fight pollution and poverty at the same time. We can beat the global recession and global warming at the same time.
This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability for educational and non-commercial use only.